What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here for another Good Morning Tottenham, and this is An urgent good morning, Tottenham. This is a last-minute good morning, Tottenham. We rushed to the studio to get it ready, so sorry if we're late for you guys. I know you guys have been waiting at least 20 minutes for us to go live today, but I just want to apologise for being late, but we have some breaking, important news to bring you about the new Tottenham manager situation, or the Tottenham manager situation, as broken by Ali Gold, Jack Pickbrook of The Athletic, Sky Sports, DiMarzio. I mean, it's doing the rounds everywhere now.
Everyone should know by now.
Exactly. Tottenham Hotspur are in talks with with a miraculous return to Mauricio Pochettino to Tottenham Hotspur.
What an unbelievable story if this comes off. Absolutely incredible story that after 6 months after being at PSG, it seems like he has differences with the board at the moment. It doesn't seem to be a happy place over there at PSG. And we spoke about it I don't know if it was yesterday or a couple of days ago in an update that, you know, the possibility of Pochettino coming back was never really realistic, and I called it a pipe dream. Well, doesn't look like a pipe dream right now. It does not look like a pipe dream right now. It really seems like he's very, very seriously considering coming back to Tottenham, and it seems like PSG don't. After he didn't win the league with PSG in his first season, it seems as though they're kind of happy to part ways with him. From what I read, it sounds like he's going to have to resign rather than them sacking him for the move to happen. But he is very, very interested in coming back to Spurs.
What do you make out of that? That him and PSG are not really working. It's only been 6 months into the job.
It's only been 6 months, but it's something Tuchel, although Tuchel was there for a bit longer, it's something it's pretty much the reason he left, because of problems with the board, the in-house politics. He wasn't a massive fan of.
What are those in-house politics, though?
I don't know. I'm not there.
What could they be? I mean, they're a very, very wealthy club.
Mm-hmm.
They spend money, obviously. They got some of the best talent in world football in Mbappe and Neymar and, Di Maria, Verratti. What players they got there? I
don't know what conversations the board are having with the managers and whatnot. I don't know the ins and outs. So I'm just saying what I've read and that's that he isn't happy. Pochettino isn't happy with how things are run, basically.
And if he's not happy with the way things are run at PSG, he's obviously wasn't happy with the way things were running at Tottenham as well. So obviously, if he was to come back, he's going to need massive assurances.
That's the thing. But what I would say to that is, yes, that's true. He definitely needs assurances that that he'll be listened to, rather than when he makes pleas to the board, it doesn't fall on deaf ears. But there's no one better than Pochettino to know exactly what this squad needs to rebuild.
That's for sure.
There's no one better than him. He knows exactly how good the players are. He knows exactly how good everyone is. He was also a big part of bringing in Ndombele and Lo Celso as well. So obviously he's scouted them. He knows their qualities. He knows how good they can be. He'll have a better left back in Reguilon than he had when he was at the club. Obviously he'll be tasked with signing a right back and centre backs and whatnot. We know we need a better defence, but he'll also have someone like Steven Bergwijn, who he didn't have at Tottenham, who I'm sure he can help go to a next level, and someone like Højbjerg as well. So he might be excited by the prospect of coming into Tottenham, and especially if whether Kane leaves or goes, he might have a lot of money to spend if Kane does end up leaving this summer. But then again, it could convince Kane to stay. So it's a lot is up in the air. But I'm very excited by the prospect of Pochettino, because obviously, look.
Magic.
It's obvious that we're looking for a manager in the mold of Pochettino. So there's no one better than Pochettino to come and rejoin Spurs. And there are even suggestions. Sky Sports, Sky Cover today saying that one source even believes that the deal was almost done. Is all but done for him to come back to Tottenham. He's saying it's not something he can report with any certainty, because it's only one source, but that's what he's hearing from one source. It's all but done.
Is Potter still your number one man then?
Huh?
Is Potter still your number one
man? Not with Pochettino, mate. Oh, bloody hell. Definitely not. According to Sky Cover, apparently Pochettino feels like he's managing with a hand tied behind his back at PSG.
Really if he's thinking that at PSG, man... Like he was.
We were saying he was managing with two hands tied behind his back at Spurs.
Exactly.
That's what we were saying.
Exactly. So
but the thing is, that was in regards to things that weren't football related, in terms of, like, when it comes to coaching, managing the players, all that stuff. he has full control, and team selection, all that kind of stuff. When it comes to transfers, that's when and transfers and refreshing the team, that kind of stuff. That's where we said he was managing with two hands behind his back. So.
It's
maybe
interesting to know what they mean by that.
Yeah, so maybe it's a thing like, the board is saying, look, you have to pick this player, that kind of stuff. I don't know, but maybe it's that kind of thing that he's doesn't like at PSG and wants to and maybe he's under too much pressure to do certain things on the pitch, whereas he wasn't under pressure to do anything on the pitch at Tottenham. Off the pitch he was under pressure. Maybe it's the opposite at PSG. I don't know. I'm just speaking out loud. That's all I can think of.
Super chat here from Joe Young saying confident in the Poch return. One sec. One sec. I lost it now. Confident in the Poch return. Allegri to Juve, Zidane to PSG. I mean, there's a massive managerial merry-go-round this summer, isn't there?
Absolutely. And it's always people seem to be going back to their clubs. People looking for a new manager. Jack Hughes says Poch back and 4 or 5 quality signings in the summer. If we get Poch back and we back him, we could definitely have a successful season next season.
Yeah, I think maybe next season will be like the kind of moulding in period again, because he will need a moulding in period again because of the way the squad is.
Yeah, but obviously depending on who he decides to keep and whatnot, a lot of the squad should still know how things go under Pochettino in terms of they shouldn't obviously for players like Højbjerg, Reguilon, Bergwijn, even to an extent Ndombele and Lo Celso, there's still going to be a bedding in period to get used to his tactics, because we know under Pochettino for players like look at Sonham for example, it can take a long time for players to get up to speed with how Pochettino likes to play and how intense his pressing needs to be and how hard you work in training and stuff like that. But on the flip side, a lot of the players in the squad will already know that, already know how things work, and can even help the other players maybe get up to speed a bit quicker than before. Then it's just the management staff. So I mean, I think the betting in period. I'm hoping it might be a bit shorter than before.
I think it will be shorter than before, but I still think there's going to be a bedding in period and a kind of rebuild project that is going to need to happen. I think that's pretty obvious.
But look. I do think there are the makings of a very good squad.
We've got with the attacking players.
Yeah, I think obviously the defence needs a revamp. Interesting to see if he does come back, what he does with Toby Alderweireld, because he kind of, I don't know. In the latter days, they kind of seem that Toby didn't seem to be a fan of Poch in the latter days. Obviously, we need a couple of centre backs. We need a right back. We need
another CM.
Potentially another CM, depending how he sees Ndombele and Lo Celso.
Depending what happens with
and then as well, what exactly? Like that's so much in the air. What would he do with Bale? Would he want Bale in the squad for next season? Considering how he likes to play, Bale doesn't exactly scream high pressing.
Do you not think Bale could do like a kind of free roam in the middle or something?
He could. That's the thing. He could. Bale. He could kind of. Like what he did with like Ricky Lambert at Southampton, he could kind of allow Bale maybe not to do as much running, and as long as people make up the running for him, then it can work. And if we get a right back who can cover a lot of ground, obviously we're not going to get Kyle Walker in, but if we get someone who has like the strength and pace of someone like a Kyle Walker, he can make up for that.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. So. It depends on our recruitment, really. But obviously, I think it does open the door for someone like a Max Aarons to come in, because obviously Mourinho didn't like him because he didn't feel like physically he was dominant. But Pochettino is a bit different in that aspect. He prefers pace and work ethic and that kind of stuff. So maybe it could open the door for someone like Max Aarons to come in at Tottenham at right back.
I woke up today so excited. That's the first thing I saw when I woke up today was the news from Jack Pickbrook. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't tell you how excited I was. I've been saying for the last week or two, like, none of these managers excite me. The only manager that excites me is Pochettino.
Of course.
And for him to be, like, so heavily linked, the bookies now have, like, completely slashed on anything. Like, Pochettino, the highest odds you can get on him is evens now.
So if we're reading, let's just read through this Athletic article.
Less than evens now. You can't even get evens anymore.
Wow.
You can't even get evens anymore. The highest odds in decimals was 1.72.
Well, really, things are moving very quickly here. The article from Jack Pickbrook was written this morning, 3 hours ago, on Pochettino's return to Spurs via The Athletic. He said, Tottenham Hotspur are in talks with Mauricio Pochettino about a shock return to the club this summer. Pochettino was sacked 18 months ago and appointed as PSG coach in January. Is attracted, but he says Pochettino is attracted by the idea of a quick return to the London club and to English football after failing to settle in the French capital. While reappointing Pochettino would also be attractive to Daniel Levy as he tries to repair relations with the fans and relaunch the team towards the Premier League's top four, it'll be very difficult to pull off.
How would you feel about Daniel Levy if he pulls this off and he gives Poch
I'm conflicted.
and he gives Poch the transfer window that kind of
Look,
we need?
If he signs him up and backs him, obviously I'll be happy. But I also feel like Levy reappointing Pochettino is kind of it's like a get out of jail free card in a way, like
going back on your hands and knees.
Yeah,
literally.
It's not just that, but it's like he's under. Like I feel like it's hard to describe what I'm trying to say, but
is there not something to say like, look, he's made a mistake here and he's recognised the mistake?
Of course, he's recognised the mistake, but it's easy to recognise it after all that's gone on, to be honest. And also, it's not only that; it's also to recognise it when managers aren't exactly lining up to come to us.
Yeah.
So it's kind of easy
like
to go back,
last chance saloon kind of thing.
But I feel like as well, the easy, not the easy decision, but the decision to sack Pochettino and bring in Mourinho was ill-advised. And it was like one brought out of nostalgia for how Mourinho used to be and what he could bring to Tottenham and what we thought he could. And then the same token, I feel like Pochettino's in the same way. I'm not necessarily that Pochettino's finished manager or anything. I think he'd be a great appointment, but I also feel like it's an appointment which is born out of how it used to be under Tottenham in the peak years. Exactly, and I think it's partly
same
to appease the fans
coming back.
But I feel like he has to get real with that. The fact that I don't think he'll be the same as it was under peak Pochettino if he comes. I think
it can get that way eventually.
Hopefully, but I feel like he needs to realise that Pochettino is coming into a club at a different phase of when he came into the club last time. When he came into the club last time, we were very, very much we were never getting Champions League football. We were very much struggling as an identity as a club. We were much smaller in stature. We were still at White Hart Lane. We maybe didn't have the global reach we do now, and we weren't in the market for the kind of players we are now. And Pochettino coming into Tottenham now, obviously he had like full control.
Some of those things you said are still relevant now. No identity kind of thing. We don't. Really
I know, but what I'm saying is we're a different stature of club. Like back then when he came into the club, also not only stature of club, also stature of football. When he came in at Spurs back in 2014, like the what he implemented into the Premier League and into Tottenham was kind of fairly new in that sense when he came, and he had full control and obviously he kind of had like a head start on like the other clubs. I felt like when he came into Tottenham and how he was training and all that kind of stuff. And obviously we should have built on that head start he did, and we let it set and rot, and that's why we moved backwards. But right now he's coming into the club at a different phase. We're a much bigger club now. We will have different demands to what he did, to what he had back then, and also the football landscape has changed quite a bit. Whereas when he came in back then, Leicester winning the league, Man City were in all over the place and that kind of stuff. Now, with Guardiola and Klopp all at the top of their game, Oli coming in, Chelsea with Tuchel and with all that in that loads of cash.
It's definitely a harder task.
I think it's a much harder task, and he's got to be much. I think both Levy and Pochettino need to know what they're signing up for and need to be ready for this challenge. And
right.
I don't think not only Levy needs to back Poch, but Pochettino needs to realise how much bigger a job this is than when he came the first time round.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm a bit worried about.
Yeah, you're definitely right in terms of saying like the state of the Premier League is a much. I think the top four now is much harder to break than it was then when Pochettino first came. I think that's definitely true with the kind of Manchester clubs at it at the moment. Liverpool going to be back strong next season. Chelsea Champions League finalists now under Tuchel, and they're going to be strong next season. So I think, look, you're definitely right in that case, but I think that a lot of the job is actually quite similar to when he came in, where he needs a kind of a big rebuild to kind of get to where he wants to be. He needs to get a lot of players out the door. He needs to get a lot of players through the door.
Yeah, but in a sense as well, like when he came last time, like we had just had that massive transfer window when we sold Bell and all that stuff, and so he was tasked with like getting out a lot of the shit and implementing his own players. But it's kind of a bit different now in terms of we don't have those young up and coming English players we kind of had at the time when he came, and it's going to be a bit more difficult getting everyone pulling in the same direction and
it's going to
listening
need a
to him.
massive rebuild. I don't think like a lot of these players need to leave. Like Eric Dyer, for instance, like he's going to see Pochettino. He was going to want out the door. Never mind being pushed out the door.
Yeah,
I think Eric Dyer will probably be the first one to be like, look, I'm off here. I'm off now. I think a lot of players that are thinking of leaving now, Moussa Sissoko, Serge Aurier, they're going to be out the door. Like I said, Eric Dyer, I think a lot of the players that we put on sale yesterday in that video that we made, I think are going to want to leave with Pochettino coming back, because you got to remember at the back end of Poch last year when Pochettino was here, I don't know if he was falling out with the players, but it just wasn't working anymore. This cohesive unit was not there anymore.
Yeah, because I feel like the players had worked so hard for 5 years or 6 years, and a lot of them had kind of didn't because they hadn't won anything. I think a few of them, not all of them, but a few of them kind of felt like maybe it was time for a change, which was wrong of the squad, and I think they regretted it. I think themselves, I think a lot of the squad regret how they acted probably in those final days of Poch. But, you know, people like Sissoko will have to go. I think, to be honest, it was probably a good thing for Winks. I think Winks might stay.
Maybe.
With this kind of, with that appointment. Yeah, I think Dyer, I don't know what it means for Dyer and Toby. I think both of them
exactly
might be up for sale.
for Dyer.
Well, not necessarily. Well, depends how, because obviously he wasn't really a centre back.
But everyone saw that interview with Mauricio in the documentary and stuff, and being like, "Oh, I just don't know why he wasn't picking me." And like, didn't seem to be very good communication between Poch and Dyer.
Yeah, but that's true. That is true. But it was only a few months after that where Dyer finally decided, look, I want to be a centre back and I don't want to be a centre mid, and Poch hasn't had him during that period, so there'll have to be a reassessment there of things. But I agree, it doesn't spell good things for Dyer, I don't think.
Which is good things for us.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all know we need centre backs, and also he signed Sanchez. It's probably a good thing for Sanchez in that sense.
Yeah, maybe.
I think he was a fan. He liked Sanchez. I think he said he could have been potentially one of the best in Europe.
Yeah, I'm sure he's gone back on that now. But anyway, let me look at these super chats. Jack Yu saying, "Big fan of the show. By the way, lads, he's magic. You know." There's been a few super chats that I've missed here, so I need to scroll back and get them. But Presario Computer with a super chat there, but no message. Thank you so much for the support of the channel. DJ Tivy saying, Kane would have told Levy, I will stay if you get Poch back. Levy will have to listen this time. Levy put us 2 years behind.
Yeah.
Come on, you Spurs. Philip Hunt says, hope you guys get Poch back. Always rated him. He's very similar to my manager Klopp. Hopefully he convinces Kane to stay. Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, do you think this does convince Kane to stay? Do you think it gives us another year happily?
I think it helps. But what I would say in regards to Harry Kane is, unfortunately, it's an uncomfortable truth. But he did improve once Pochettino left, and I do think a lot of that was down to how Kane, how his role kind of adjusted in terms of he wasn't just pressing all the time from the front, because I feel like his body at the age he was at, it wasn't right for him. The way he was playing under Mourinho, dropping deep, picking up the ball in central midfield areas, not always pressing high from the front. I think in his early years, Kane, he was a very effective pressing forward, and he was really good at that. But after a couple of years of injuries and stuff, I feel like his game just naturally adapted in a different way. And do I feel like him seeing Pochettino back thinking, I'm going to have to do... I'm going to have to change the game back to what it was. And obviously he was great, but I don't think he's the same player in a way.
Do you not think that maybe he converts Kane a bit deeper into a number 10 role or something like that?
Potentially. I don't think... I think he could. I think Pochettino is a smart enough manager where he can adjust his tactics. I do think he's a smart enough manager to adjust tactics, but I don't think in the way Poch likes to play that you could have a Kane and a Bale and a Son in a front three. I'm not sure though that will it might not work, because I feel like he likes there's a reason why he needs a rebuild and he needs a refresh on the squad, because he likes a younger set of players because they got more energy and they can run run longer and stuff like that. That the front players on the peak Pochettino was very young Dele Alli, a very young Harry Kane, a young Son and a young Eriksen. Like, they were all in their early 20s and in this peak era. And once they got to their mid to late 20s, then there was a bit of a problem. So I reckon he wouldn't even. I reckon if Poch came in, I'm not saying. I reckon. Obviously, Kane and Poch had a great relationship, so I don't think Kane is going to be like, "Oh, I want out." But I feel like if Poch had 150 million or whatever it is from the Kane money to spend, if he can identify his players, I'd much rather, like, I would be more confident in that if we identify players in a certain Pochettino system, because we know Pochettino system can work to a very high standard. We know that for a fact. We've seen it with our very eyes. And if we can scout players very specifically for that system, and they get the very best players available for that system, then I think it could be very, very positive for us even that sense.
What do you think it means for someone like Tanguy Ndombele? Because obviously he
signed him.
I know he signed for Pochettino, but there was I don't know if you read the quotes from Ndombele where he said, like, those training sessions when he first came under Pochettino, he basically wanted to leave after 2 days, pretty much.
I know, but I'm hoping. I don't know for a fact, but I'm hoping he's in a different way mentally than when he first came to Spurs. And I think the fact that he turned it around under Mourinho is evidence of that. And I think obviously Pochettino signed him, so he signed him for a reason. It's because he knows how good he can be, and I'm hoping he can try and turn him into our Dembele.
And I think it will transform a Lo Celso as well. I think Lo Celso will get on very well with Pochettino. But let me just get through a few more super chats saying Dark Sun G saying, if we get Poch again, I think it's a good thing that we are in the conference, since that will be a good competition for moulding in. 80% director of football signing, DF signing needed. I'm not sure what that means.
Director of football, 80%. He's saying 80% of our signings should be from director of football, I'm guessing. Yeah, I mean, that's also a good point in terms of what was great about Pochettino being in Europa League for his first year was that he was able to bed in a lot of the younger players in that competition and get, like, for example, Harry Kane made his name in the Europa League and then he got his chance in the Premier League.
But also, I think that players like Ollie Skip, Ryan Sessegnon, because first of all, Poch was a big fan of Ollie Skip.
And he signed Sessegnon as well.
And he signed Sessegnon, Devine, Dane Scarlett as well, who I think in and around the first team squad next year. So, these are already like the younger moulded players coming through. Not moulded yet, but the younger players coming through.
And in terms of Ndombele, Lo Celso and Sessegnon, yes, Pochettino had them for a short time, but he actually got sacked, to be honest, before he could properly use them.
Yeah.
So hopefully, with Pochettino at the helm, like Sessegnon, I think, made his debut at that Everton game, right, when Son got sent off for injuring Gomez. I'm pretty sure Sessegnon made his debut in that game. That was literally Pochettino's second last game as Spurs manager. So he never really got a chance under Pochettino, and we know, like in that kind of system, maybe Sessegnon could thrive after a good loan spell as well. I think it's just look. This is an appointment that definitely excites me. It definitely does excite me.
I mean, it's the only one that we've really been linked with that does excite me.
Yeah, because
Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I'm hoping it's not nostalgia getting the better of me. But I do think...
that's what Simon Jordan seems to think it is. I mean, I was listening to TalkSport on the way in, and he was saying that all these Tottenham fans getting excited is purely because of nostalgia.
Well, this is quite interesting.
What? It's not happening.
So, PSG have just tweeted out 4 minutes ago saying... As the 2021 season comes to an end, Mauricio Pochettino has spoken to PSG TV about his first few months as PSG manager, his first successes, and his goals for the team's future.
Great.
So Pochettino there apparently talking about his future with PSG to the PSG TV. So he doesn't sound like a guy.
Be a video from yesterday or 2 days ago.
It could be.
That has just been
planned
to be promoted today.
It's true, but are PSG stupid enough that if he's actually leaving to tweet that out?
I don't
know. So this is basically an interview with Pochettino talking about his first 6 months and what his plans are for the future. So that seems to be pouring a bit of cold water on things. But having said that, you got to respect when Alistair Gold says something and Jack Pitborough says something. It's probably true. And look, they never said it's done. They just said he's in talks. So whether we also don't know whether like how far along it is.
And also, regardless of what is happening with Pochettino, he always manages clubs like he's going to be there for the rest of his life. He said that many times at Tottenham, even towards the end of his career at Tottenham.
That's what he plans. He always plans for the future. He's not a manager, a bit like Mourinho, who thinks of the short term. He always thinks of a long-term vision.
But let me read a few more of these super chats. Manny Man says, Mauricio Pochettino would have to remove his bad habits, i.e. leaving it too late to make changes during the game and the wrong changes.
Yeah, he's not perfect. We know that. We know he's not the perfect manager. But he had us playing in a system that had us playing really good football, high-pressing football, really good defensive play as well. But we just needed a few more tweaks to get us proper challenging. Yeah. And we didn't do that at the peak time. But if we can get a proper scouting network into how he likes to play and get players who, instead of him trying to adjust to what he has, us adjusting to him and getting what he needs and what he wants, I'm more than sure he can be another success if he comes back. I'm so sure.
Another super chat here from Presario Computer once again. Thank you very much for your support. It says, Pochettino is a great appointment for Spurs. The team needs a huge rebuild at this stage. Pochettino did, in fact, built a team his 5.5 years. Who is better than him? Who knows the club inside out? And that's pretty much spot on.
The only thing I'd also ask is it too soon for him to come back?
Well, I mean, like that super chat said, who knows the club better than him? Who knows the players better than him? Who knows what this team needs better than him? Who knows how to do a rebuild in the Premier League that we can possibly get better than him? Who?
No one.
No one.
No one. It's absolutely right.
Another super chat here from Corpison. Don't know how to pronounce that, but it says, rather be out of Europe than in the Conference League. And by the way, it's worth noting as well, while this whole madness is going on, Danny Rose and Paulo Gazzaniga have both left the club today at the end of their contracts, which is also some breaking news today that's kind of slipped by the radar.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise though, is it?
Yeah, but I thought Gazzaniga had one more year left, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe he had an option, and we decided not to take it. I'm not really sure.
I feel bad for Gazzaniga because, I think he's a good keeper, but he just doesn't seem to get a role anywhere. I mean, he was on the bench always for Southampton, hardly got a goal a game there. Then what happened at Spurs? He probably get the most game time at Spurs. Then he goes on loan to Elche, doesn't even get a game there. What are you reading, Stim?
I'm just reading this interview of Pochettino they've put out. I mean, there's not much. I mean, it does seem obviously very generic. It seems like this was probably done a few days ago, but he's asked, what satisfaction do you get from the work that has been done in these few months? He says, I'm happy with the way the players have adapted to the changes. There are a lot of things that couldn't be changed or couldn't be developed because of lack of time. But I think this way of working and with the desire to be able to develop other kinds of ideas on the pitch, it will be possible to do great things in the future. Of course, I'm proud of the team's effort because only we know what state the team was in and what we are capable of. I'm proud of all the people involved, not just the players, but all the staff at the club, everybody, because I think everybody was incredible. Everything we did to stay alive until the last days in all competitions, winning both domestic trophies, reaching the semi-final of the Champions League without being in your best form, fighting until the last game with the possibility of winning the championship, and given the conditions in which we arrived, we should be proud of everything and everyone who we participated in this journey. Then he was asked, you seem to be proud of what you've achieved and not entirely satisfied. Is that correct? I think that in football we are never satisfied because perfection doesn't exist, but we are always looking for satisfaction that we can't find, because I always believe that football challenges you every day and that from season to season you have to be better and better. But in a club like PSG, you're forced to think that perfection or satisfaction can come and that winning is the only option. And for a club like ours, it's about winning, and then winning again. It's a feeling I've always thought I'd like to have. It requires a greater amount of energy, and always be sure that your priorities be professional and that the difficulties and obstacles can always overcome. And I think that's that challenge to impose that here. I mean, it sounds like he's ready to be there for the long term. You are also back at the club, manager, this time without being able to share moments with the fans. Was that hard for you? Blah, blah. Yeah, so look, you also got to remember that Neymar was wanting out, and after Pochettino came in, he signed a new contract as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also important to note. So it's difficult to know what the truth is. Some people say we're in talks and he's not happy. He doesn't sound like from
At the end of the
Pochettino.
day, Pochettino leaving PSG does not make much sense. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Doesn't make that sense in that in essence, because I do think he would have gotten more time, but it's also important in the Athletic article they did say this. So maybe this is just PSG tweeting out an opportune time because they may be using it as a bargaining chip. But this snippet from the Athletic article saying there is still 1 year left on Pochettino's PSG contract, and the Liga club do not want the upheaval of a third head coach of a third head coaching change in as many years. They would face another summer of disruption only a few months after sacking Tuchel in December. If Pochettino does ultimately decide he wants to return to Tottenham, he would most likely have to resign in order to force his way out. So that was that's a little snippet there. So it sounds like PSG don't particularly want to lose him, or aren't desperate, aren't like that unhappy with him. It sounds like it's more if it will have to come from Pochettino. So in that essence, PSG tweeting it out doesn't make too much of a difference in that essence, because not like they want him to leave. I don't know.
We've got a few more super chats to get through. This one's from Robert saying, "I love Poch, but the state the club is in wouldn't be fair to him. Our foundation is broken. We need a solid scouting system, director of football, and Levy and Enoch out."
That's definitely. I mean, in terms of the scouting and everything, that's definitely true. We need to identify. We can't. Pochettino, I feel like the whole time he was at Spurs, like was always trying to kind of fit his system into what he's given. Like he's always wanted something, he's given something else, and he has to kind of work around it in a way. But if he gets what he needs, and if he gets to his certain specifications, what with his ideas, then it can happen. He will need insurances that a director of football or whatnot can bring that for him. And if he doesn't get that, then you're right. There's no point in him coming back because it's not going to work. It will just go flat again. But if he can get assurances that they're going to try their utmost to get players to his kind of requirements, then I think he can be a success.
That's the only way this is going to work. Mm-hmm. If Levy gives Poch what he wants, it's the only way it's going to work. Codename says, "To be honest, I'm just tired of waiting for us to sign a new manager. Do you think Poch is desperate to leave PSG?"
It's difficult to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to know, isn't it? It really is impossible.
According to RMC, quite a reliable publication out in France, they say PSG will not let Pochettino go to Tottenham and want him to stay in Paris. And also that follows on to actually another report that was earlier today from Telefoot 1, that was reporting today that rumours of PSG being willing to let Pochettino go are not true. And apparently they want him to stay. So that's what they're reporting out in France. So in France they're reporting that it doesn't sound like it's going to happen, but here in England they're reporting that they are in talk. I believe that there are definitely talks between the two. Whether they're talks saying whether they're like advanced talk, like these could very easily just be preliminary talks, just having a conversation, like feeling it out, seeing if he does want to come back and all that kind of stuff. Doesn't mean Pochettino has definitely told Levy he wants out and he wants to come back and all that stuff.
Gold wouldn't say there is talks if there's no talks. Let's be honest.
Definitely.
Another super chat here from Greg Excellent saying, "Board restructuring and a serious look at the foundations of our club is far more important than this next managerial appointment going forward."
Definitely true. I agree with that as well. It's all more important. Obviously, Pochettino would be a massive boost in that essence. But when Pochettino was sacked, he wasn't the biggest problem at Tottenham. When Mourinho was sacked, he wasn't the biggest problem at Tottenham. The biggest problem at Tottenham still hasn't been solved, and that still definitely needs to be solved before we can move forward. That's definitely true.
Shall we start getting some fans on?
Yeah, I want to get some fan opinion on this because obviously we are very excited, but obviously from a nostalgic point of view and from how we know who Pochettino is, we're excited. But I would like to know if either maybe fans think it's not going to be a good appointment, maybe fans think it's too early for him, and maybe fans think it's not as likely as is being portrayed at the moment of actually happening. So let's get some opinions.
All right, let's start off. But who to start off with? Then the Joracle.
Come on, the Joracle. Hey, Jory.
Hey guys,
How you doing, Jory?
I'm good, man. Just when you settle in for 5 years of bad news, we get this kind of news, right?
Yeah. I know. And how are you feeling when you saw the news this morning?
Well, it's been going around for a while, and we dismiss it. I thought it was kind of like wishful thinking and stuff like this, but now it seems to be, at least there seems to be some real intention behind it. I don't know how much you can read into all these social postings by the various actors in this. I think the odds are always a good indicator what the betting odds are on things in terms of what's happening. But for me, I mean, this whole thing could be turned right with Pochettino. I think the whole adventure with I mean, it's almost like a cleansing exercise. After it came to a halt with Pochettino, we bring in Mourinho as the exact opposite, maybe of a Pochettino coach, and we go through that whole exercise. And us as a fan base we've grown up quite a lot, I think, through this whole thing, and learned a lot about our club, about the board, about a player, about a squad, maybe the most, and we've had to face the hard facts that Pochettino was trying to call our attention to long before he went, so now, also another thing, it's so clear. I mean, what I'm hearing from the club now, the last couple of days, it's like they're like binge watching your videos and other fan videos and basically just releasing everything we want to hear. They're also talking about a new director of football and so on. So, so let's just start messaging directly to the guys. So I would say to you, Pots, you have the hardcore fan group, I think, are a lot wiser now and would definitely give you some extreme backup. You would have a lot of leverage in your dealings with the board. I think we totally know where things fell short the last time, and we will not that we didn't back Potts, but I think Potts will have even more support now from me, from you guys, and so on. Yeah. No, I was going to say, and to Levy, I would say, Levy, we've seen you as the master manipulator now, and if you're trying to pull a quick one once again, that's fine by me. If that means that you're going to appoint Pochettino, back him, appoint a new director of football, and the last thing you can do for us, Levy, if you want to make things good again, be the leading force in making sure that English football is safe for the future, and be the leading force in ending the Super League. So if you do those things, I will make peace with you, and I will settle in once again. So, I think definitely, like you mentioned before, Levy is definitely fighting a little bit of a survival game here. But I think that's the good thing. And I also think, to the credit, if Levy and Potts are looking at this, to their credit, this is what real men are made of. That they go back and correct their mistakes if they have the chance to do it. So I think, for me, it's very exciting news.
Let me ask you this, though, Jory. Obviously, the publications, Alistair Gold and Jack Pitbrook here in England, are saying that Pochettino is in talks with Tottenham and he would definitely be interested in a move back to Spurs. But Jack Pitbrook from The Athletic saying that PSG don't want him to leave, and that if Pochettino is going to leave, he'll have to resign. But there are publications in France, very reliable publications in France, saying that PSG are very much looking with Pochettino in the future, and they wouldn't want him to leave this summer. and they've just released actually a few minutes ago an interview on their social media about Pochettino talking about the future of PSG. So where do you think the truth lies? Do you reckon he wants to move back here, or do you think maybe they're just preliminary talks for the time being? There's nothing to advance at the moment.
I mean, every time I look at Pochettino, I kind of feel like he's still in Tottenham. Every interview since he's quit, he cannot get it out of his system. I think he needs to, in his heart, he needs to complete what I think he had a vision and a master plan, and he didn't get to complete it. He wasn't back the way he needed. And I think even the most glamorous jobs in the business, he's that kind of a guy. It's not about the glamour. It's not about being, managing Neymar or anything like that. It's once you have a vision and a plan, you really have to. I think that he's definitely that kind of guy. He needs to complete his vision. And I also think in terms of what's right and wrong in terms of these rumors, if I had to speculate, I would think that Pochettino wants to leave, is very, very keen to leave, and Paris doesn't want him to leave. I think both things are true. I think probably I'm starting to suspect there's probably some not too kosher things going on with Paris. These clubs can have all kinds of financial stuff, and maybe the managers are being pulled into some of that, and they don't want to be a part of that and whatever. So, or it's just the culture and stuff. There might be. I mean, I kind of feel like there is a little bit too, almost a little bit, or like Tuchel had hinted that there was a little bit too much nepotism almost in the back rooms of the club in PSG and stuff like that. And I think, like, even though Tuchel and Pochettino are very different guys, I think they're both probably very principled guys and wouldn't really go along with anything that they feel is unprofessional or stuff like that. So I think probably both are true. And I think, just like we've talked about Kane, I think if your principal actor is adamant of leaving, you should go along with it. It's not, you can't really stop it unless you're willing to lose a ton of money on it and stuff. You can do what Arsenal did to Özil or whatever, but I don't think anybody thinks that's a good solution for anybody, and especially not in a managerial role. You really need your manager on board. So I think if Potts has made up his mind to leave, I think they should just work with that. And in the same way, I think, like, if Levy, I mean, my worst fear here would be that there is real negotiations going on, and Levy all of a sudden gets too confident and starts to pull some quick ones and stuff like that. I think Levy, now you need to understand your wall's against the wall. You're actually, if these are the moves that you're making the right moves, I think. So just concentrate on that. Don't try to be too smart here. Just get the things over the line that we've basically been slowly kind of revealing for ourselves needs to be done. Like all of these players out, and all those news that's been awesome seeing it, because we know it needs to be done. So hopefully things are changing.
Let me ask you this, Jory. Last question before I let you go. We've got a super chat from Will Stewart, and he says, if Poch comes back, I'm afraid that his legacy and our memories of him will be ruined. What do you have to say to that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the risk we take on. But, is it worth the risk? Hell yeah. I mean, for me, Poch he's a different manager. He doesn't have the silverware, but he is on the level with Klopp and Pep, and name anybody. He's at the starting end still of that career, but I think that's the tier he belongs in. And I think, to be honest, I think Potts has probably been like watching every Mourinho game over and over and making endless notes. And like, I think Poch probably learned a lot from watching Mourinho manage that squad that he put together, you know. And I also think like Levy, no matter how deluded Levy would be, he can't believe any longer that the squad is okay and that you just need to work with it. I think, and that's what we've been hearing from the club. So we're hearing they're gonna release all the players that we know are over the hill for our club at least, and they're gonna also try and find new sporting directors or and in that regard, I hope they go the Liverpool route. You know, try and have a lot of science, stats based approach to the game. You know, because we know we're never going to be the biggest spenders in the world, but you know, if you do the sporting department well enough, then you don't have to be the biggest spenders. And I can't we have to do a rebuild. There's nobody better to do the rebuild. In my view, the architect of modern Spurs DNA is Pochettino. I mean, that he is the architect. So why would we not? You know, we've lost our identity, we've lost our way. Nobody better to kind of try and bring it all back. I'm not saying it's gonna end this success, but I think there's nothing out there that has a better chance of turning things around.
All right, Jory,
All right.
absolute pleasure to get you on as always. Great to get your views.
Likewise.
Hopefully the next time we speak, Pochettino will be the new Tottenham manager, but we'll have to wait and see about that one. But Jory, good to hear from you once again, and we shall be hearing from you very soon.
This is fruit of your good work as well. I'm sure.
Let's hope so.
All right, man.
Speak to you soon, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Let's look at this tweet.
Let me just. All right, go on. I just wanted to get through these super chats.
Go on then.
The first one from Jack's Energy saying, I don't think Pochettino will come back without having a budget to rebuild. This was the sole reason he left competing with a depleted squad. Time to add depth to those pockets, Levy. That's definitely true. Another super chat from Prakash with no message. So thank you very much for the support there. Animesh Dalai says, God has given us a chance. Levy needs to sell his soul if he has to get Poch back. It's a miracle and just get it done.
I hope they can.
I think there was one more in there somewhere. No, that's it. Let's
look at this tweet from Jonathan Veal. He says, this interview where Pochettino talks about a great future and building an idea at PSG was conducted on Monday. The timing of its release can't be a coincidence. So he is kind of, there's Jonathan Veal there implying that maybe PSG have put out that interview to kind of dampen any talk of him leaving or anything else. Cause,
it could also be a bargaining chip, you know. I do feel that it makes sense as well for them to want Zidane. You know, how desperate they are for a Champions League trophy. Obviously, Zidane has won how many Champions Leagues?
Four,
in the last
I think.
3 years,
3 or
7
4?
years.
3 or 4?
3 or 4. Anyway, he's obviously a French legend, Zidane. He never did play for PSG, but I still think they would hold him high regard over there.
Yep. I agree with that, but I think PSG at the moment trying to pour some cold water on the talks, which is understandable, but everyone's getting very, very excited about the potential.
Do you reckon Ryan Mason becomes part of Poch's team if he comes? Because I think he does.
He loves Ryan Mason, doesn't he? He obviously brought him through, didn't he? He gave him his debut, so I'm pretty sure he'll be part of the coaching stuff. I don't think he'll be assistant or anything, but I think he'll be part of the team. And then 9 minutes ago, James Ollie from ESPN, he says, as first reported by Jack Pitbrook, THC have contacted Pochettino about a return to Tottenham. PSG are reluctant to let him go, though. So he's corroborating what Jack Pitbrook and Alistair Gold have said. So from what I'm gathering from all this, PSG pouring cold water on it is completely understandable, and it sounds like they want him to stay. But on the flip side, It does sound like there are definitely talks between the two, and if it does happen, it'll have to come from Pochettino's side to kind of push for it, and I guess he'll have to see how that goes on. Pochettino might decide that he'll give PSG another season or not. So, but then again, he might decide he'll come back to Tottenham. So I think I wouldn't read too much into PSG pouring cold water on it just yet, but definitely. Definitely, it sounds like it's not as far gone as maybe what like Sky Cavill will say. It's all but done and stuff like that.
Some sort of breaking news, I think, from Di Marzio that Allegri's gone back to Juve.
Yeah, that was reported earlier today. Allegri has, yeah. Romano reported that today. There's an agreement between Allegri and Juventus that he's now gone back there. So I'm not sure what that means for the manager merry-go-round. But yeah, Allegri is going back to Juventus, it seems. So
let's keep getting some fans on. Who is up next? Alex Samuels.
Let's get Alex on. Come on, Alex.
Yes, Alex. How's it going, my friend? You're on mute, I think.
It's our end. It's our
end.
There you go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, yes, Alex. Come on.
Hello. Been a while.
It has been a while. Yeah. So run me through your feelings when the news first broke this morning.
Yeah. Oh, just some breaking. I don't know if you just saw some breaking news first. The press association, PSG, have declined to comment on rumours. Apparently.
Yes, I'm just reading that. That is the press association. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Because the interview published, maybe they would have actually made a statement or something.
Yeah, saying look, he ain't leaving under any circumstances or anything.
Yeah, but well, I woke up about literally half an hour ago, that late night, saw the news. I was like, I literally just said, "Oh my god!" And half asleep, saw you live, just came on. I'm all a bit still dazed from the whole thing. I kind of heard a rumor about this a few days ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did hear something about this a few days ago, from someone I do really trust. And okay. Talks happen all the time in football. It's normal. I'm sure Pochettino and Daniel Levy, we know, are in contact. They do talk. So I kind of just dismissed it as that. I didn't think it would really have a chance of happening, which obviously there is now a chance. Whether that's a small or a big chance of happening, we don't know. But yeah, I'm a bit in shock, a bit, I think, overwhelmed with maybe the nostalgia, which might maybe hinder perhaps some actual football analysis of whether this is a good move for Tottenham or not, which I think maybe a lot of fans could also be suffering from. I freely admit that. Obviously it's Pochettino. Of course, we want him back with the situation we're in. But, I do see a lot of fans saying it's a difficult one, because what's the point if you've got the same players that got you sacks? There isn't much point. And with the market being what it is at the moment, with it being so hard to shift out players, is he going to get that rebuild? I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. And if you look at it from Pochettino's angle, there are rumours he's not happy in France. But what's it say about walking away from the PSG job 6 months in? Right, if you're a future manager, he's not going to be at Tottenham forever. That's a fact. It's just not going to be. It's not going to be a thing. So I don't know. It seems a bit too soon. It does seem a bit too soon overall.
Let me ask you this, Alex. How much of a different job is Pochettino coming back to Tottenham compared to when he first came? What do you think the big differences are to how he would have to maybe adjust his methods or think differently to when he first came in? Because when he first came in, he kind of had completely full control over a very young squad who were pretty much all kind of doing as he said, and he had everyone on side, and he had, we hadn't tasted Champions League football for a long time and that kind of stuff, so it was very easy to try and get everyone to play to his methods. But now coming into this squad, it's a bit different. The big players like Son and Kane and whatnot, he knows they're a bit older. They maybe don't have the legs they had under his peak years. Players like maybe Ndombele are kind of bit like players like Ndombele aren't they're big money signings. They're kind of star players. Maybe it'll be harder to get them doing those hard running and stuff like that. What do you think the big differences are to him coming in now compared to when he first came in?
I think there's one word to sum it up, and that's expectations. The expectations are completely different now, because the rebuild, the job when he first came in was to sort of, you know, break new ground with Tottenham, and now that he already broke that ground, he's got to do it again. So it's actually a much harder job, because people are going to be expecting a lot of him, and he's going to have to work with what we know is it's not an awful, terrible squad, but it's a squad which is in serious need of surgery. And the question is if he's going to get that surgery. Look, a big problem also is that as you mentioned, you know, some our players are aging. We have probably a much older squad than when he first came in, and he's known for being a very hard-working manager for players. You know, he really pushes, demanding. That's the word. He really pushes them to their limits in terms of training and physicality. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. Look, at PSG, he's also got some players like that. He's even in a short space of 6 months, he would have learned a lot from his time there at one of the top clubs in Europe. I'm sure he's learned something. So I hope he can bring that back to us if he does join. But yeah, I don't know. It's the more I think about it, the more I just have question marks even over the leadership of the club. I mean, look, Sky Cava said Daniel Levy massively regrets it. The original sacking. I mean, look, people make mistakes, but I mean, sacking your best ever manager and then wanting to bring him back, like, oof, wow. That's so. Yeah. It's a big mistake in managing a football club. Yeah.
Alex, what do you think it could mean for Harry Kane, in your opinion? In terms of, would it make him reconsider wanting to leave? Do you think it can get another year out of him? Or do you think maybe someone like Harry Kane sees Pochettino coming in and thinks, I'm a different player to when I was under peak Pochettino, and I can't really do that hard running and that kind of stuff that he requires in his front line? Like, what do you think it means for someone like Kane?
I think Pochettino, if Kane decides to stay, would respect the fact that he's changed as a player, and he kind of has a new role within the team. Literally, under Mourinho, we saw the transformation. He was better than ever, wasn't he? It was prime Kane, you could say. You know, most assists in the league, most goals in the league, absolutely incredible. Why would Pochettino change that? You know, have to adapt his pressing methodology and things like that. But I'm sure he would. The thing about Kane staying, though, is maybe he sees this. No one knows what he thinks, but maybe he sees this as a club stuck in a cycle or something like that. You know, it is at the end of the day, it is another rebuild. We know Kane thinks that because of the Gary Neville interview. And you know, you see stuff like Juan Foyth winning the Europa League last night. I mean,
warrior, mate. Absolute warrior.
Like, obviously, congratulations to him, but.
Don't forget Etienne Capoue and Pau Lopez.
Of course. But it's just it's not great. It's really not great, and we know that someone's going to win the Champions League. An English club's going to win it this weekend. Yeah. It just doesn't. It's not adding up. And we're in the Conference League for next year. I mean, look, the Kane. Everyone's done the Kane discussion into the ground by now. I don't think there's anything new to say on it.
And what about? Do you think Pochettino would want Bale to return?
I don't know, because especially if Kane's not going to be part of the pressing that much, he's going to need his wingers to work really hard, isn't he? And I don't know if that will necessarily suit him, because we know Bale's not really much for a presser, is he? He didn't really do it a lot this season, at times maybe, but I don't know. Look, I do think the talk of, you know, who's he going to get and everything, it's just. I think it's a bit ahead of itself, to be honest.
Very
because
premature.
Yeah, because I just saw if Independent have said, you know, PSG are going to block any potential move.
I've tweeted that out.
So I don't know. I think we just need to wait and see if this. Look, we probably what day does it say? It's 27th of May, Thursday. We'll probably know by the end of next week who the manager is. I think that's probably all the noise is coming out. We will know. But look, people have said for a while it's going to be a surprise appointment.
And to be fair, Alistair Gold, what did he say? Last week he said Spurs have got a manager in mind and it's about convincing the club to let him go or something like that. Could be Pochettino.
Yeah.
So you never know. Yeah, look, I would love Pochettino back at Tottenham in my opinion, but yeah, I think you are right. It's very early days, and I guess maybe there's a bit of a PR fight at the moment to gain control of the narrative, but I guess it'll play out over the next few days. But things do seem to be moving quite quickly on this story.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of top quality managers now out of work. You know, Zidane, Conte. Eric Ten Hag probably could go to one of these teams. Maybe Ten Hag can end up at Barcelona, even someone's saying here in the comments. But there are a lot of big managers looking for jobs. So PSG wouldn't exactly be hard of finding one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're PSG, that's got to be a bonus. But as for Tottenham, maybe now at the end of the season, the manager changes happen. It happens every single season. We do have more options. I'm sure as a English Premier League club, we've anticipated that. And sounded out all the agents and everything, and I have faith that we're not going to end up with someone like a Roberto Martinez or something like that. I think even someone like Graham Potter now is probably, I think the odds are increasing on that. Oh, is it short? I can't remember. It's not looking as likely
to join Spurs now.
Well, exactly. That says it all, really.
And Pochettino is 8-11 in favourite, under evens.
Wow. But you have to the odds market's very much it's not really to be trusted because it's people betting on it, isn't it? So that's kind of how it works, and that increases the odds.
It's like people betting on it mixed with like kind of inside information or side of information they get from the press and everything. I mean, there's a lot of factors involved in terms of the odds, but. Look, we've had a different favourite as manager every day this week, so I guess you can't read too much into it, can you?
At the same time, as a football fan, it's this is an exciting time. Once we know the manager is, they'll give their transfer targets, and we are going to get some new players in this summer. Anderson seems like he'd probably be first on the list, which I've got my own thoughts about. But yeah, I think that let's just wait and see what happens with this, because we're going to know within the week. We're definitely going to know within the week what happens. And I just hope it is someone that can take this club forward and break even further ground than what Pochettino did, because that's really the key. We need to rediscover that ground and break new ground, because we were so close under Poch. We came so close. I think if I'm Daniel Levy, maybe now he sees the fan process, which obviously you guys have been leading amazing work on that. But maybe he's gonna realize, look, I should have really backed him at critical times. The summer of, was it 2018? I keep going on about that. It was one of the biggest mistakes this club has ever made, in my opinion, not getting a single signing. Everyone going, oh, we couldn't. Who's better than Ben Davis? I mean, come on, like seriously. So
they do say never go back to your ex, though, Alex.
They do say never go back to your ex, but we have seen in football that sometimes it can work. We can't. Mourinho's second spell at Chelsea, Zidane, notably, it's a good example. It definitely can work, but the problem is those clubs have had a longer time apart, haven't they? And so I don't know.
Was only away for a few months, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Was a few months? Oh, well, maybe that. But remember, Madrid have a very, very different philosophy than Tottenham. So it does make me a bit more concerned. But I think let's just hope the board have maybe changed their ways, if that's even possible. I'm sure they're going to try and do more investment. It's where, hopefully maybe the owners have invested their own capital. Maybe there's been some guarantees about that. Potentially, I'm sure Pochettino will only come back. I think this is a very important point. He will only come back if there are some real guarantees about what's happening, because he has been burned so many times under this ownership. He's been promised things we know haven't happened, and he's made his opinion on that very clear to the fans. I remember even up to the Champions League final, he wasn't very happy, actually. If you remember, he made some strange comments, and it looked very, very weird for probably about the space of a year to 9 months, something like that. And so
He was frustrated, and rightly so.
Yeah, he was frustrated. The new signings he got in weren't really performing to a great degree. Ndombele and Lo Celso. So, look, I just want to see the biggest thing. If Pochettino does come back, have to get some of the deadwood gone. They have to go, and hopefully Pochettino can work with also some of the players we brought in, like Reguilon. I think he'd be great for Pochettino. Would be great for his development. Højbjerg, be very, very interesting to see how Pochettino utilizes a player like that. Maybe a Moussa Dembele type of role sort of thing could work. It would be very interesting. And most of all, let's hope Kane stays. Let's really hope Kane stays, because out of fairness to Daniel Levy, if you're going to try and make Kane stay with the next appointment, Pochettino is not a bad way to go. In fairness, So
I think the managerial appointment is just the first step, though, because there's so much work that needs to be done. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So much more work behind the scenes. So many more appointments and transfers. I think that the whole recruitment department needs a massive overhaul, in my opinion, because it's just been poor. It's been so poor. We've spoken about this at length.
Bring back Paul Mitchell as well. Bring back Paul Mitchell. Get the band back together, man.
Recruitment really has to be on point if we're going to appoint Pochettino. It has to be top notch, because Pochettino requires very specific. Exactly. Pochettino requires very specific skill sets and very specific things from players. And I feel like always at his time at Tottenham, he's been trying to fit in with trying to fit the pieces he's gotten into his system. But we need to kind of fit we have to kind of fit his system into the players we get instead. So I feel like we need to start planning better for who we're going to bring in and exactly what Pochettino requires, rather than Pochettino just scrambling for what he's been given and trying to somehow jam it into his system when it's not really working.
Yeah, but let's not say also, Pochettino has also. We know Pochettino made mistakes during his time as manager.
Did, yeah.
Everyone does. If you remember, I know it's his first season in the Premier League, but we know that Ndombele was the first name on his list as manager, and his performances weren't great throughout his first season. We know that, and obviously it's the first season in England and all that, but you've got you look at, maybe there were some mistakes there, for example. So I think in summary, this is a wait and see situation, isn't it? Because wait and see if he is appointed. How do the board back him in the summer? Do we have the funds to back him in the summer? If we appoint him, surely that means we do, because he would never join if he doesn't. And it's interesting because for Pochettino to come back to Spurs, he must love the club, because where we are at the moment in his managerial career, you wouldn't really think that he'd even consider it. The position where we finished in the Premier League, it's not really. He wanted to be one after he left Tottenham, and he did eventually take over a club. Won the Europe's elite. He was always touted for that, and he's done that. It just leaves me confused. This situation. Really? Why would he come back? Why would he come back? And if he does,
you got to think about it as well. He's managing in Liga at the moment. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe he kind of, I know he didn't win the league, but maybe he kind of misses the Premier League. Maybe he really enjoyed the hustle and bustle of the Premier League, facing all like these top teams every single week and challenging himself against the best. I know he didn't win the league in Liga for the 6 months in charge, but maybe that's something as well that plays into it. He kind of wants to be back in the Premier League, and that could also be a factor.
No, absolutely. But saying that, he did lose the title to Lille.
Yeah, he did.
But just interesting. Loads of news coming out at the moment. Conte's apparently interested, according to the Guardian.
In what? In Spurs or in PSG?
Conte's interested in becoming the next Tottenham manager.
According to the Guardian.
Yeah, according to the Guardian. And
so we've gone from Scott Parker and Graham Potter to Conte and Pochettino in a few weeks.
Well, that's all right. It's
not bad.
I'll live with that, man.
Yeah. Look, in the end, I think at the end of today, we're going to know probably a lot more by 5 o'clock today with what's happening, actually, because you're seeing everything. Apparently, Ten Hag wants to manage in Germany, not England. The Times are saying stuff like that. We're going to know a lot more. And I'm sure we are going to appoint a top manager. I think now the signs are there. It's not going to be a Scott Parker or someone like that. I do have much more confidence. Maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I would have been less confident, but I think the board aren't. They are. You can say a lot of things about them, but they're not stupid. They do know the next appointment. They do stupid things. Everyone does stupid things. I do stupid things. Everyone does. They know that for their own sakes, for the value of selling the club, which they are going to do one day, we have to get back to where we were. And to do that, we have to appoint a top manager and potentially invest a hell of a lot more money than we have done in the past. And I do think that it could happen. It could happen. I just hope that it works out.
All right, Alex, we're going to have to see how this one plays out, but pleasure getting your views as always.
No, thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.
Cheers,
maybe
Alex.
some more breaking news is going to break later on today, and we're going to have to go live again later on. But for now, we'll have to see how it plays out.
Cheers, Alex.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you.
See you later. All right, let's get through some of these updates because this seems to be a developing story, minute by minute as things stand. So first of all,
Basically,
Times.
we're going to be non-stop live all day.
Oh, I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
We're just going to stay live, giving you all the updates all day.
So the Times are now saying Tottenham have opened talks to reappoint Pochettino. He is keen to return to Tottenham, having faced internal issues and politics at PSG. So that's the Times reporting. Now, RMC Sport from France, who we told earlier today that they kind of rubbished reports about Pochettino, they're now saying PSG do not want to part ways with Pochettino, but it remains to be seen where Pochettino's stance is. If there is a departure, he'll have to resign to hope to sign for another club. So it seems like RMC are now saying they're not sure what Pochettino's stance is, having earlier today said that the rumours of him not being happy were false. So that's interesting. And Le Parisien, which is I believe a forum, is that Le Parisien is another publication in France.
Yeah.
They're saying PSG assures that at no time did Pochettino express a desire to get rid of his contract. The club is satisfied with his work. So that's what they're reporting out in France.
Independent as well.
And the Independent here, this is interesting. Independent is saying senior Tottenham players have reminded Levy that sacking Pochettino was a great mistake. Those players have already been in touch with Pochettino pleading for his return.
Wow.
That is what the Independent are now reporting.
Dele Alli's heading that list.
I reckon Kane, Son, all the Lloris, they all are. And there was an article just breaking from the Guardian as well. They have
Conte.
It wasn't actually about Conte. It was about Pochettino, but I'm assuming Conte was mentioned in it. Just on what Alex was saying before, the Times as well in their article saying Erik ten Hag remains an alternative for Tottenham appointed to Pochettino, but the Ajax manager has indicated he does want to manage in Germany. So that's what they're reporting.
Dortmund are looking for a manager, right?
No,
they got a manager.
They
now.
got a manager. They got Marco Rose.
Yeah.
Mark Rose. Where is that article from?
Just while you're looking for that, I'll get through some super chats. Prakash Tapper saying, can Poch take us to the next level, to a trophy level? I don't see why not. I mean, he was on the cusp of it last time, so I genuinely don't see a reason why not. I mean, the only reason why not is if he doesn't get the assurances and kind of what he can to succeed in the job, because there is a big job on his hands, potentially even bigger when he first came to Spurs. Kree Evangelou says, if Kane wins the Euros and Poch returns, does he stay? I don't think it has any bearing of if Kane wins the Euros or not, but I do believe if Pochettino does come back, Kane might give it one more year to see if the club does go in the right direction. Animesh Dalai is saying, if Spurs had taught us, I would not be surprised if they show us Conte and Poch and get us Parker.
All right, so there is quite a lot of interesting stuff to get through here. Let's go. I'm going to go through these two articles now. First one's from The Guardian. This is from Jacob Steinberg. He says, maybe I can get up on a tweet, actually. Let me get up quickly. I'll like this one just to save it. One sec. Jacob... so we can go through this article here. This is let's get Twitter up. So this is what The Guardian are reporting. Tottenham hold talk to Pochettino over return to manager. So this is being reported everywhere right now. It says Tottenham have held talks with Pochettino over a sensational return to the club when he was sacked 18 months ago, and has caused surprise by entertaining the idea of a swift return to London. He is believed to be interested in reviving his former club, who have encountered frustration in their attempts to replace Mourinho, and their previously ridiculous notion of a reunion could come to pass. There is a sense that Pochettino, who has a year left on his contract at PSG, is not satisfied in the French capital. Reports in Italy have suggested he's unsure about working with Leandro, the sporting director, and PSG have endured a difficult season, although Pochettino won the Coupe de France with his star-studded team.
It's just broken on BBC about Poch.
The PSG, BBC now breaking. Let me just get through this article. Much will depend on PSG's response. The French club are reluctant to lose Pochettino and could block any attempt to leave. PSG, who hired Pochettino after firing Tuchel, would prefer to avoid the upheaval of having to find another manager. The Tottenham who fired Mourinho in April have not been put off by PSG's stance. The appointment of Pochettino would be a huge boost to Levy and Tottenham's beleaguered chairman. Levy, who replaced Pochettino and Mourinho, has faced criticism after a disappointing campaign. And then there was even more stuff. Where is it? At the bottom. Oh, so here it is. It says other names on the list have included Rodgers, who is unlikely to leave Leicester, Potter, who lacks experience at the highest level. Tottenham have spoken to the unemployed German Ralf Rangnick, although it's unclear whether discussions focus on him being a sporting director or manager. And here is the point that people are picking up on. It is understood that Conte, who left Inter Milan by mutual consent on Wednesday, is interested in the job. For now, however, the focus is on Pochettino. It will be a major gamble for him to walk away from an elite club and take on a rescue mission in North London. Yet, Pochettino, although he relished the chance to work with Neymar and Mbappe, is not enamoured with the internal politics at PSG. Another factor is that Pochettino has struggled with being away from his family during the pandemic. He has been living in a hotel in Paris with his assistants Perez and Jimenez and his son Sebastiano, who works as PSG's fitness trainer. He is understood to be missing his wife and his other son Mauricio, who are currently in London. So that's another point. If he's currently missing his family who live in London, maybe he might feel like return to the Premier League, return to Tottenham.
Now, right?
His son plays for Watford, and it could be best for everyone, maybe it sounds like. So that is the Guardian reporting there. And go on. So what are the BBC saying?
Literally nothing. They've basically got an article saying Mauricio Pochettino, Tottenham contact former manager over return, and then it just says more to follow.
And here from The Independent, they've just released an article as of 11 minutes ago from Miguel Delaney. What did Miguel Delaney say a few days ago? Did he say something about Pochettino?
Yeah, he did.
Here?
He said...
I can't remember what he said.
He said something about Pochettino coming to Spurs for sure.
Yeah. So he says PSG want to keep Pochettino as manager in a stance that will likely block any sensational return to Tottenham. Well, they can't really block it if he resigns, can they? Mm-hmm. So, but it says The Independent first revealed on Monday that the London club has been considering going back for the Argentine in their search for a new manager. As they had been told, he found managing PSG more of a headache than expected. Daniel Levy is committed to doing everything possible to get Pochettino out of the French capital and back in the Spurs dugout. The 49-year-old who was replaced by Jose in 2019 and all that stuff. But it says... what's it called? As well as the 20 has repeatedly been told that the managerial change was a great mistake by the Spurs chairman. He has been reminded about that by senior members of the squad who have also been in touch with their former manager, pleading for him to return. Pochettino and his backroom staff felt at home in London. What's going on here? Fell in home London, but they have not settled in Paris, spending the majority of their time in hotels, and they feel there's unfinished business at Tottenham, who they have had reconstructed into elite team. The Independent understands that the contract with PSG, which has another year left, is not the most difficult to get out of, though. Although the French giants do not want the upheaval of losing Pochettino, it is also understood that Pochettino is uncomfortable with the power structure at the Parc des Princes, where he has less influence than he expected, and there are obvious concerns about the stature of so many players. The PSG hierarchy nevertheless feel Pochettino might be the man to impose a bit of discipline with a full summer. That is despite the Argentine failing to win Liga this season, finishing 1 point behind Lille, which is said to also play on the mind of the former Southampton Espanyol boss. Poch would likely have to resign to make any move possible, a situation that currently looks unlikely. So that the Independent saying it currently looks unlikely from that point of view. But from what I'm hearing, no publication has kind of said. Every publication is kind of united in a sense that it sounds like Pochettino is very seriously considering it.
Yeah.
And he's very seriously considering whether he wants to do it. But also sounds like PSG don't really want to lose him.
By the way, he's in London, Pochettino.
Is he? How do we know that?
Because of this cafe in Cockfosters.
When was that?
Yesterday.
Really? So he was in London yesterday?
Apparently so. If you look on Mayhill Cockfosters, it's a restaurant in Cockfosters.
On Twitter?
On Instagram. They put a picture of them and Pochettino on their story yesterday with a signed Neymar shirt, which he must have brought on because obviously he lived in Cockfosters or he lived close to Cockfosters in Totteridge when he was manager of Tottenham.
What, on their story?
Yeah, 19 hours ago.
Here it is. There's a picture of Pochettino apparently in London yesterday, with a picture of a signed shirt from Neymar for this. What is it? A Mayhill.
It's a restaurant.
Restaurant. So looks like Pochettino is actually in London at the moment. So maybe that adds more fuel to the fire. Very interesting. Very.
He's at Hotspur Way, mate.
He's at Hotspur Way having discussions. Well. Be very, very.
But also that also ties into what you just said, that his family lives in London and it's off season, so it could just be because of that.
Well, it sounds like the ball is in Pochettino's court right now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's all up to him whether he wants it or not. I think obviously PSG can talk all they want about him not wanting to leave, but if he resigns, there's not much they can do.
Who have we got waiting in the back end? Who have we got?
We got Ariane
there.
Let's get Ariane in.
Let's get Ariane on. Yes, Ariane.
Hey, Dan.
Hey guys.
I know you've been waiting quite a while. Sorry for waiting, but thanks for being patient. But what is your initial feelings on this news?
Obviously I love Pochettino, and I think it goes without saying for every Spurs fan. But I think it's a bit too soon for me. I think the fact that he's only spent 6 months at PSG and him leaving, especially right after he bottled the league title to Lille, just doesn't feel like he's learned enough from to get like a winning mentality to come back to Spurs just yet for me. Because I feel like if he comes back and he ends up getting really close to that trophy again, it's going to be pointless. It's going to be the same cycle that we all went through, and we're going to have that pain again. So for me, actually, I think we should at least wait a little bit, take a gamble with someone like Conte, and then have another, wait another year for him to come back. Obviously, if he comes back, I'm not going to be complaining at all. I love the guy, and I think he's going to do good. But it's not my ideal source.
Yeah, no, you keep breaking up there a bit. I think your internet might be a bit choppy. You keep breaking up.
Okay, well, maybe if I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too quiet and not picking it up.
But in terms of what you're saying, that he's been at PSG only 6 months, not enough time to get that kind of winning mentality. I mean, we brought in a manager with a so-called winning mentality in Jose Mourinho. That didn't work out. When Pochettino was here, he kind of took us to new heights, which we'd never even dreamed of being at before with Poch. I mean, is it not a case of if he does come back, he wouldn't come back without the kind of assurances that he can rebuild this squad? And if anyone can rebuild the squad, who better than a Mauricio Pochettino?
Yeah, I mean, that is you do make a fair point when you say he kind of knows this club from the inside out, and he knows how to deal with it, and the rebuild could probably be best managed under him. But I mean, yeah, I think it would still be a good appointment. I'm not here trying to say it would be a bad appointment, but I think if you're going to trust someone with like the money to rebuild the club, then you also have to look at the other options. I think honestly the only option other than Pochettino that stands out to me, it's like if we can't get Antonio Conte, then I would love Poch 100%. But I think just the fact that Antonio Conte is available, because I honestly think he's a brilliant manager, world class, and I think if you can entrust him with a budget, he will win you trophies. I mean, he's won a league title at every single club he's managed at, has he not?
Yeah.
So that's like that's the only kind of thing that's making me a little bit uneasy with the decision because like I mean it's two brilliant managers, don't get me wrong. Either one I'm going to be 100% okay with, but Antonio Conte being available for us, and if we're going to entrust someone with a rebuild that we're going to give him a budget, I don't think that you can have like a better reassurance of a major trophy than Antonio Conte. Because as much as we're going to say Jose Mourinho had the winning mentality, two things are kind of what I think of when I think of why it didn't work with Jose. The first is that we didn't even let him play the final he reached, and the second is that the whole thing about him being like washed up and stuff. I mean, Antonio Conte, there's nothing you can say about him being washed up. He just won a league title like 2 months ago, or not even 2 months ago, like 1 month ago. So, you know,
But you know,
that's all I have to say on
Daniel
that.
Levy made it very clear in his program notes last game this season that he is going to try and appoint someone with the Tottenham DNA, someone that plays that kind of attacking football philosophy, and also the kind of if the players didn't get on with Jose Mourinho, I find it hard that they're going to get on with Antonio Conte with that fiery attitude and mentality that he does have. So, I mean, I can't see Antonio Conte being the next manager of Spurs just because of those kind of factors.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if that ends up being the case where Conte just kind of is not compatible with this squad and this club, then I wouldn't mind Pochettino at all. Honestly, I think at the end of the day, he's Pochettino. He's magic, right?
You
When he comes to the club, it just
know.
I would sing it, but like everyone's asleep in my house. So, yeah,
Ali,
I mean,
what kind of do you think it's like a very different to Pochettino walking back into Tottenham? He's walking into a very different job and a very different club to the one he walked in on in 2014. Do you think like he'd be up to that challenge, not of building a club from where we were back in 2014 back up, but actually taking a big club back into like the Champions League and stuff like that? It's a kind of different kind of job, and do you think he's the right man for that job?
I think like if he wants to take us to new heights, I think he was in the middle of that process when we sacked him, and I think he was doing a great job, especially after he got the transfers. I think the fact that we stopped him the way we did kind of just halted any progress we could have seen. You can't be too sure if he's going to do it, but I think he was making good because look, he took us into the top four. He made us a regular Champions League club. He took us to the final. He made us finish second place and third place, and we were going great under him. And I think that was the process that he was taking us that like reach these heights. And the fact that we stopped him the way we did, kind of just you know, backtracked a little bit. But I think the progress that he was making was clear to see, and I think it's a bit you can't really say he can't make that progress again, if that makes sense. I think definitely he has the ability to take us to the next level. And I think he was going to do that if we didn't sack him. So yeah, I think he could 100% be the right man for the job. The only thing that kind of worries me is you mentioned these assurances that he's going to get, this a certain amount of money and stuff. There's just a little part of me that's saying maybe it's going to be some sort of for one season or one transfer window, like kind of let's say Levy spends 100 million only to kind of win the fans back over. I think you guys mentioned it yourselves earlier in the stream. What if it's some sort of get out of jail free card where the fans are going to forgive him for bringing back Pochettino? Other than that, I mean, that's just the kind of only thing that kind of is worrying me a little bit here. I'm like, because I want Levy to be all in this. I want him to back him, give him everything he wants to really take us to new heights and win some trophies and just make ourselves that big threatening club again.
Yeah, because I think Levy knows if he appoints Pochettino, like there's no way, especially I can't see anyway, especially in the first few months of the season, like the fans will be on side. I'm thinking, in this next season, like imagine a full stadium, Pochettino in charge, like we're gonna be fully behind him.
Fans will be on side with Pochettino and the team and what he's trying to build there, but I don't think that the bridges will be completely built between the fans and ENIC and Levy. I don't believe that. I think that, yes, it's a step in the right direction, but I still think the jury will definitely be out on kind of Levy still and ENIC, the way they're kind of running the club, the Super League, and, everything that's happened in the past. It can't just just be wiped off just because he's brought Pochettino
Of course
back.
not. I'm not saying it will be, and it shouldn't be. I'm saying he knows if Pochettino's in charge at the helm in the dugout come the start of the season,
There'll be a good vibe around
there'll
the
definitely
club.
be a good vibe around the club.
100%.
And I think it's like a quick win, basically, if you can get Pochettino back in.
It's definitely a step in the right direction, but also as a fan base, we can't be blinded by the fact that he's bringing back Pochettino and stuff like that, and we need to still remember everything that's happened over the past.
Even under Pochettino, it happened. So
Exactly.
So you can't be repeating the same mistakes. That's the most important thing. What do you think it means for if Pochettino comes back? What do you think that means for Kane and Bale? What's your opinion on that?
For Harry Kane, the thing with Harry Kane is a lot of people are saying, oh, he loves Pochettino and he's definitely going to stay. I'm not 100% sure on that because from what I remember now, my memory could be a little bit foggy here. But if I remember, I feel like Kane was kind of the final nail in Pochettino's coffin. If I remember correctly, he stopped kind of pressing up forward, which we saw when he was performing well. But I think Brighton game where we lost 3-0 kind of encapsulated it perfectly. I think Kane was kind of just jogging, like he wasn't even really going for anything, if I remember correctly, that is. But I really do think that Kane was kind of the final nail in his coffin. Maybe if Kane changes his mind on that, or that was completely to a different reason that he stopped pressing him forward, then maybe Pochettino could stay, have Kane stay. Because as far as I know, Kane and him have a good relationship. So if it's about Kane, I think it doesn't increase his chances of him staying or leaving too much. I think it's definitely good. But I think that if we want to have Kane stay, it's more than just a managerial appointment. We have to make sure that we back whatever manager it is. We have to build a good squad around him and Kane and Son. It's all about how the club is moving forward. And I don't think just a managerial appointment can represent the whole thing as where the club is going.
All right, Ariane, absolute pleasure as always, my friend. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving us your views. And hopefully the next time we speak to you, we're going to have a new, nice, shiny manager to talk about, whoever it may be. But Ariane, big yourself up and we'll speak to you soon.
I'll see you guys soon.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
Ariane.
And what I was thinking just now, actually, is that if Poch comes back, I think that kind of relieves my fears of Kane leaving. Not of actually him leaving, but how it affects us as a football club. Because when Poch was here and Kane was out injured for an extended period of time, sometimes we would get better. You know what I mean? So I think this football club can go on better with Pochettino without Kane, as opposed to without Pochettino and without Kane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and look, and that's the thing. If we were to sell Kane, I would be a lot more confident giving Pochettino that money than any other manager, to be honest, to kind of rebuild or get that front line he wants.
He need to have a good scouting system with him, because obviously his signings under Paul Mitchell and his signings after Paul Mitchell was like night and day.
Yeah. So I think that's true. I do think if it definitely leaves not totally, but for sure, I'm more confident of Spurs being able to replace Harry Kane in a certain system that works. Because yes, we can't replace Harry Kane the individual, but if we have a system that we knew inside out, like we did under the peak Pochettino era, that can make up for that. Because the team is always more important than the individual, and that's what Pochettino always said. Yeah. So that's the most important thing.
We've got a super chat here from Dark Sun G21 once again. Thank you very much. And he said we need at least B+ signings, no more Ds and Fs. And that's completely spot on. Let's go on to our next guest. It is Abhishek. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right, guys. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm very good. Obviously, it's been a bit of a whirlwind day so far with a lot of news breaking. What is your initial thoughts on the return of Mauricio Pochettino?
I've been following that news for past couple of days, with Conte. First, the news broke about Conte, right, that he was planning to leave Inter because of their position of selling their players, and he has finally left. There is a big shuffle of top quality managers happening right now in Europe. I really think if we bring Poch back, the first motivation will be from Daniel Levy's side is to please the fans. He really needs a win with the fans. And bringing Poch back is a big win for him. Pochettino will not guarantee us success, but he will give us a platform for success as he has done before. I honestly feel that with Kane going, Pochettino is the only person that can rebuild rebuild Tottenham Hotspur as a club without Kane. He can develop a new system without Kane. We saw that in Champions League where we didn't have Kane, but we still somehow managed to perform. We were more fluid. I would argue that we were more fluid without Kane on field.
Yeah, I agree. I
Um,
agree.
and honestly, the only thing that Pochettino has lacked in his tenure as a Tottenham Hotspur manager is the lack of funds. And I think with the sale of Kane, and if we are able to move on the players that we don't really need right now, the players that are just using our wages and just filling spaces, I think with that money he can really bring in the players that he really wanted back in 2018. If you
Do
go
you
if
feel
you
that
go
he
back,
will
we
get
were
those assurances, though? Do you reckon Daniel Levy will give him those assurances?
I think he has to give them because when he was out of job and he was a pundit on Monday Night Football, he was asked this exact question and he said, and he answered it when he signed for Tottenham Hotspur. He was clearly told by Daniel Levy that look, we are not going to sign big name players because in the background they were planning to make the big stadium that was going to cost $1 billion. So he basically said that, you know what, all the funding that we are going to receive is basically going to go into that, and you have to manage the team. You have to basically sell to buy. That has been a philosophy, right? There is no money being put into the club. It is a self-sustaining model, but we have never had this kind of money to play around with. And I think if we get the managerial appointment wrong this time, this club is doomed
Yeah.
because there is a big link with Conte till yesterday. I think we were really in for Conte, and Conte also likes the idea of being the next Tottenham Hotspur manager. But somewhere down the line, we also have to agree that everywhere Conte has been, he's exactly like Mourinho. He has a very big ego problem, and he always has fallout with the boards. It has happened to every club he has been at. He's a very demanding coach financially and also in control. He needs the control of the club completely. And I don't think that Levy will give that control to any manager in the world because he loves that position, right? So I feel that Pochettino helps in both sense. It will be good for Levy because I think Levy regrets that decision back in when he sacked Pochettino because it was going to be a very painful. Pochettino said it himself, we needed a painful rebuild again in his last press conference, and that has become a fact right now that we actually need to go through that rebuild once again because the players that we have right now, they are good quality players, but we don't have a system that is suitable for them individually. The players, if they're in good system, they can perform really well, but I don't see a manager right now in Europe other than Pochettino who can make work with these players. And I honestly feel that with Kane, Sissoko, Wings, we will really not get that much money in. Majority of the money that will come into this club is through the sale of Kane. Kane will bring the maximum amount of money, which will be around 130, 140 million. What we also need to consider is that we have a very big loan taken out from the banks. We need to pay the government back by 2022, I think around 125, 175 mil. So getting into those European positions is more important for us right now. And I think the only manager that can get us into Europe from our past history and experience is Pochettino. And I feel that PSG will let him go because I don't think they are that much heavily invested and emotionally invested in Pochettino as Tottenham. It's as simple as, if we really want Pochettino, we will get Pochettino. It's as simple as that.
Do you really
And
think
I feel
so?
I feel
Why would he be so open to leaving PSG after 6 months? I still don't really understand it.
even I don't get it, but somewhere I feel that he hasn't been given what he wants at PSG. See, at PSG a lot more egos to handle than at Tottenham. There is more expected of you at PSG than at Tottenham. Maybe he's just not able to handle the kind of pressure that is being put at him on PSG. Maybe the players that he wants to play in a certain way, they are not able to fit in the system that he wants. See, we know Pochettino, if you give him a year, another year at PSG, he'll make it work. But at PSG, it's all about instant success. See, for them, bare minimum is winning all the domestic trophies. If you don't win it, it's a failure for them. It's straight up, and they really want to push on in the Champions League. That's why I feel that it is not a really good move for us to go to Pochettino right now, because it's just too early for us. And I feel that we should look for someone in the same caliber as Pochettino, but not exactly Pochettino. We should look at some other options. I honestly still believe Potter is the right man for us. We should stay away from Conte and Pochettino right now.
So you would go for Potter over Pochettino right now?
Yes, because it's just too early for Pochettino right now. If we bring him back right now, it is 50-50. No one can guarantee that Pochettino will be a success. He has been with us for 5 years. Yes, he took us to Champions League finals, as I mentioned in my last fan call. It came to a point. He really extended us to the point that there was nothing further to go. He really took us to the extreme, and then there was nothing more left in the team. The only
But
way
there's
we
no
could-
guarantees that Potter's going to be a success, though.
No, but see, I can give you an analogy. If Tottenham is a wounded horse, we don't need a good rider right now. We need someone who can heal that horse right now. If we get a top quality manager, it's not because we don't. First of all, our structure is flawed. We don't have a good scouting system. We don't have financials to play around with. We don't have a director of football. We have no one in place to actually make everything work and execute the plans that the manager wants himself. A complete rebuild is needed. I would trust Pochettino if Levy wants to back him for the next 5 years financially and emotionally and everything that he needs, which I think that Levy cannot guarantee at all, because the kind of person that Levy is, see, he might be a good-hearted person, but he doesn't understand football at all, because his decisions that he has made in the past 4 or 5 years has just been just stupid. Like, I cannot understand how we didn't sign a single player in 2018 when we were on the up. We were actually pushing when we were linked to likes of Paulo Dybala, to the likes of Koulibaly. I mean, when you go back to the match that we won against Liverpool at Wembley 4-1, Liverpool leapfrogged us in terms of stature, not historically, but in table, just by signing Van Dijk and Alisson. Just those two signings, and they are miles above us. Just with those two signings, and that's what Pochettino wanted to do. He just wanted 2 or 3 key players that would really lift us, but Levy just couldn't do that. And right now we have that golden chance, and I think this will be the only chance that Tottenham gets to rebuild that. And I feel like right now, if I was Daniel Levy, I wouldn't spend the Harry Kane money at all. I wouldn't even touch it. I would just make do with the players that I sell right now and get a manager that will get us to play in the way that we want, and look to invest it in the next season.
All right. Abhishek, absolute pleasure. Really, really good call. So thank you very much for coming
Thanks,
on once
Abhishek.
again. And hopefully by the next time we speak to you, we will have a new manager to talk about. So thanks for coming on, and we'll see you next time.
Next
Cheers,
time,
Abhishek.
guys. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
All right, there's been a few things to get through now.
Another one more.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, it's non-stop today.
So that Athletic article that we read out this morning, there's been actually an update to that article with more information.
boy.
So
Sai, by the way, you're up next. Topless Sai is up next.
he's on holiday. Bloody hell!
After we get through that, that chat.
So there's an update on the article. They're saying, according to reports in Italy, PSG are concerned enough about the situation that they are sounding out replacements for Pochettino. They also said, as reports emerged on Thursday morning, Pochettino's employers in Paris were understood to be surprised by the pace of the developments. The Athletic has also been told that the club's president, Nasser Al-Khelaifi, and the sporting director, Leandro, held a positive meeting only this week with Pochettino about summer transfer targets and plans for next season. Despite reports in Italy saying Leandro has been asked to source possible replacements for Pochettino, several sources close to the France club denied this is the case and appear relaxed and confident, even if their coach may have spoken to Spurs. Some in Paris are wondering whether Tottenham are seeking to buy time and favour with their fan base as the manager search is taking longer than expected. Tottenham are at a low point in their relationship with the fan base following the failed Super League and the dismal reign of Mourinho, and a power battle of Kane with Man City United targeting the player. One source close to the situation in France has said Tottenham may be looking to start a fire in somebody else's house to deflect from their arson in their own house. So that is what a source close in France has been saying there. So also said PSG did not win the title this season in France, but the club are not unhappy with Pochettino after securing 2 cup wins and the semi-final of the Champions League. Pochettino was a personal choice of Al Khalifa midway through the season to replace Tuchel. The club is the club know he is popular with the players and the staff in Paris. They feel he deserves the time to build his own squad, and they are already tied Neymar to a new contract and hopeful of securing Mbappe to a new contract. However, the prospect of return to a club where he was so popular is said to be attractive one for Pochettino. So that is the update from The Athletic on their article there. And there's been another update from Rob Guest on Football London, and he says Daniel Levy can now play his ultimate trump card to deliver a blow to City and United in regards to Harry Kane. So this is what he's saying. He says Pochettino could be set for a stunning return to Tottenham. It says currently on the lookout for a new manager following Mourinho's dismissal last month. The favourite for the job and the bookmakers has constantly changed over the past few weeks. However, Chairman Levy is set to turn to a familiar face to appoint the ideal man. It says Football London understands that Spurs have indeed held talks with Pochettino over the vacant role. And it says missing out on Champions League for a second year on the trot last week, it was reported that Harry Kane made it clear that he would like to seal a move away elsewhere in the summer as he looks to win major trophies. But then it also says, where is it? But Tottenham do not expect to part company with Kane this summer. Kane's well-documented interview with Gary Neville about his future could well be a plea to the chairman to strengthen this summer, and all Tottenham fans were hoping this is the case. Needing a reason to remain N17 for the foreseeable future as he looks to win trophies with the club, he has joined an 11-year-old. The potential return of Pochettino could be Levy's trump card in this summer's transfer saga, and it would deliver a killer blow to the likes of City and Man United. Transforming Spurs from European contenders to Champions League regulars was great for Tottenham back then. Kane was key to their rise and constantly waxed lyrical about life under the Argentine, and after he helped hit a whole new level amid doubts he would become a Tottenham regular. Speaking in 2018, he said, "I can't speak highly enough of Pochettino. He's a fantastic manager and fantastic man. With him, it's always hard work and belief." That's what he said. He said to us before the game and at half-time, just believe, bring energy, and we'll get our reward. So, is there anything else? It says, now with Tottenham in a similar position to when Pochettino took over, with the team needing a rebuild to get them challenging towards the top again, Pochettino appears to be the ideal man for Levy. A return for Pochettino would give everyone inside the club a huge lift, and Kane may believe that the silverware he so desperately craves may finally arrive under the Argentine second time round. So he's a belief, Rob Guest of Football London is a belief that the return of Pochettino would Kane would be delighted with that.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. I do think Spurs, I've said it many times that Spurs hold all the cards, and I don't think he would have left this summer unless we got a mad offer for him. But I still think even if Poch comes back and we do get that mad offer, Kane will still have to think about it long and hard. And I think he'll look at it and being like, do I want to stay for another rebuild, or do I want to go to Man City for instant success?
And also now a report in Spain, I don't know how reliable these are, ABC Deportes have said Bale staying at Real Madrid now that Zidane has left is almost certain.
Wow. See, that's the chaos, isn't it?
That's what
I said when he said that thing about there's going to be chaos. I think that it can only mean he's going back to Real Madrid.
We don't know how reliable this is. There were publications in Spain saying he was going to retire. So you know, what I mean, it's hard to know what's true.
Let's get through these super chats, then we'll go and get Sai on. Paul Gregory says, "When will it be the right time for Poch? Then, if we get a manager in that does well, we won't need Poch in, and if we do bad, then we are back." From Darren, I believe he'll do the job, and I think that yes, he didn't win the league. But I don't think he had that many bad results with France. He came in halfway through when the job was half done, you know what I mean?
Fair credit to Lille as well, because they were very, very consistent and they barely gave an opportunity to overcome. which so look, is what it is. I'm sure he'll be angry. So yeah. What's going on? All right. I'm trying to look for any more updates. So that from the Athletic, that update is very interesting. That PSG are unaware of current talks. So as much as they want him to stay, which is what they said, as much as they want him to stay, it's ultimately out to Pochettino. He can ultimately resign and. One sec, I'm just trying to get. Is the stream still lagging, guys? Let us know in the comments if it's right now.
Dave Best said, "Is it season ticket renewals up in a few days?"
Yeah, definitely. I reckon that's definitely something to do with it. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Let us know in the comments if the stream is still lagging for you guys. They're saying it's fine now. They're saying it's all right. So, let's get Sai on then. All right, let's get Sai on. Hey, Sai.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. How are you doing? You look as relaxed as ever.
Yep, because the prophecy and the prodigy is returning.
The prodigal son.
I don't have to worry
father.
The
anymore.
prodigal father's returning.
Yeah.
What like? First
Sun is
of all,
shining down on the south coast side.
yeah, it looks good. I want to know your thoughts. First of all, how likely do you think it's going to happen? With PSG reportedly don't want him to leave, and they're going to try their best to keep him. How likely do you think he actually resigns and joins us? And what do you think that would mean for us if we do get him in? How good of an appointment do you think it will be?
That's a lot of questions, Tim.
Well, answer one at a time.
start.
One at a time.
I'm too relaxed for this. So I think the first point, mate, is I think it's natural for any club to try and sort of come out and be progressing things as if nothing's changing, nothing's happening. I mean, of course, it's not definite that he's coming, etc. But I think that it does play in our sort of favour at the moment with him supposedly being here. I do know from a couple of instances that he's definitely here. Now, that might be that he's on holiday because he does have, a rental home here and always has done because of his family and everything. So I think the main things at the moment, what I find convenient actually is the fact that Conte, Zidane have left very closely together. Pochettino is obviously not one of those yet, but it is kind of very convenient that these arguably high-profile managers are all of a sudden making themselves available. Don't know whether they talk to each other or instances in that way, but yeah, it's all starting to sort of pan out quite conveniently for me. I'm not I know I sent Ben about 100 articles this morning of Pochettino coming back, but let's be honest, most of these publications are owned by the same companies. They have 2 or 3 editors per one, so there's going to be a lot of talk left, right and centre. She's got to keep a level head on that side of things, as exciting as it is. But, I think for me, I've always said, I was so sad and disappointed when Pochettino went because I knew the reason why he had to leave. Yes, there were a couple of games tactically that he wasn't perfect with, but no manager is perfect. I think the main problem was always the backing. So this is a big turnaround point with the fact that if this is to be true and that he is to come back, the only way that he's going to accept coming back is to know of a guarantee of some kind of war chest or some investment, whether that's from the sale of players and the removal of a few players out of contract like we've seen today, or that there's been some kind of guarantee that things aren't going to be what they were before. No, I totally agree with the guy before me. About the loan needs to be paid back. Obviously, we're still paying for the stadium, so we've all got to be realistic. Financially, the way the club is run is very pristine in terms of a business plan. It's just a question of, is Pochettino, if he comes, going to get what he needs. And we all know this. And that's always my argument about all of this manager stuff is I've not really cared about this short list at all. I'm not convinced by any of them. Conte will not work. Look, as much as he's a good manager, he will not work with Daniel Levy. There's no chance in hell. The others I'm not convinced by just from their history and stuff like that. There is only one man for me that knows the club inside out, that always wanted to stay long term. And just, you do get to a point in any job or anything where you're like, this isn't going the way that I was told. I was sold the dream and it's not kind of happened. And then you make a decision to do what you need to do to get out of it or move on. And I think it's a circle, and the project was not finished in 2019. The project was not finished for one reason or another, and I want to see it finished. I don't care if he's been there for 6 months. Yes, he's won a couple of things, don't get me wrong. The Champions League is difficult. City are a fantastic team and they probably will go and win it. It's about time they have because of all the money they pumped it. And so these are all one-off games that I don't focus on too much. I just think that the timing is there, guys. And for me, I would love him to be back. Can you imagine the excitement and the joy of every fan if he was to come back?
See, even your dog's excited.
Yeah, that's actually Deli and Sonny of all the two dogs. They are excited. But
Basai, I want to ask you, do you think him coming back to how different of a club is he coming back to, and how different a job is it him coming back to Spurs this time round as opposed to 2014?
It is slightly different. I mean, when 2014 was around, there was some terrible players there that took a good season and a half to sort of transition out. I think this time round, a lot of that's going to be done automatically from the end of contracts on certain players. So you're not going to get all those back end dressing room issues. There'll be a couple of players that are on probably their last year as well. Now that's kind of a decision for Levy to go. Can we try and cash in on these players now, or do we, because of their long services, keep them on for that last year out of respect and everything, and for part of the just the team numbers basically. So I think there's a mixture of that going on. But yeah, absolutely, more importantly over everything is to rebuild this team properly. We know the back four is the main situation. It has been for 4 or 5 years now, and the attacking players that we've got, whether Bale stays or not, I don't know. Kane is obviously a question mark, but the attacking players are good. And yes, we could still add a couple of players in there, but it's that back four that's the main issue. And the Pochettino football that we watched for years, it was so exciting, so enjoyable to watch. There's a great buzz around the stadium, constantly. That's what we need to try and adhere to for the coming season, whether it's Pochettino back or not. But I do think that he's the one to bring everyone up a level again, bring the excitement back. The fans are in depression mode, and I don't think a new manager will kind of bring everything that we need to come back, and I think he's the man that could do it, in my opinion.
All right, Si, absolute pleasure getting your views as always. Let's hope that the great man is coming back, and we'll see how this one plays out. There's going to be a lot more twists and turns, I believe, in the press and with all the news that's going to break, but I'm definitely certain that we're going to hear some more developments coming through today, that's for sure.
Definitely.
All right, Si, big yourself up and we'll speak to you next time.
Thanks, guys. See you
Come on.
Cheers, Si.
Is there anyone else waiting? One else waiting?
We
any
just
more
got
developments?
No more developments for the time being. I did get this tweet, which I found quite funny. It's kind of what we're seeing, what we're expecting. It says Pochettino, then you put your glass on, it's Chris Cowlin in the dugout. I thought that was quite funny. We'll probably appoint Chris Cowlin and try and brush over. Oh, it's Pochettino, don't worry about it, it's Poch. That I thought was quite funny from Simon Stevens. Big up to you. That is that, I guess, for the time being.
Yeah.
If any more news breaks, you'll hear it here first. We'll be hot on the press for any breaking news regarding this topic. But it's got everyone excited this morning. It's got everyone buzzing a bit about the potential return of Mauricio Pochettino. So let's see how this plays out. Hopefully we can convince him to come back. It does sound like he's going to have to resign to push this through. But the ball's in Pochettino's court at the moment, so we'll see how it plays out.
We shall see how this one plays out, but it's definitely exciting developments going on at Tottenham Hotspur right now. I mean, season ticket renewals are up in like 3-4 days time, so it does kind of stink of another PR move from Tottenham Hotspur, which it could very well be. Because at the end of the day, only 6 months at PSG, you would expect a manager like Poch to give it a bit longer than that.
Yeah, especially the manager like the man of Pochettino. Like, he's got very strong like morals and stuff like that, and he would want to see him job as a long-term project. But on the flip side, he was when he left Southampton, he left them after about 18 months. So, clearly when he has his mind set on something, he can definitely just leave it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is all for today. Well, not for today, but for right now. I'm sure there'll be more developments, and we will bring you the news as soon as it breaks. So, yeah, we're going to have a few more videos for you today. I think we're going to be doing a reactions video. Reaction to a reaction, or the reaction about when Jose Mourinho first joined Tottenham, or when Poch got sacked. I'm sure we're going to be doing a reaction to that and a few other bits and pieces.
I was actually going to do pre-season predictions reaction.
Pre-season predictions reactions as well. So, look, thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been a 2-hour stream, so thank you everyone for all the super chats, all the views, all the likes and everything, like all the interaction. We can't do it without you guys, but as soon as any more news breaks on the Tottenham manager situation or anything to do with Tottenham Hotspur, we'll be bringing it to you first on this channel. So everyone, like, subscribe and comment, and as always,
come on you Spurs.
Tottenham